civilization beneath Death Valley, California, described in Paiute Indian legend. This is another old mystery. Ancient civilizations unsolved in Death Valley, concealing underground city, the cities and legends of the Paiute Indians. And this city apparently was the first described 68 years ago in Berkeley's book, Death Valley Men. In the book, on the chapter Old Gold, Lee describes a conversation he had several years ago with a small group of Death Valley residents. At one point, two of the men, Jack and Bill, described their experience with an underground city which they claimed to have discovered in 1931 after one of them fell through the bottom of an old mine shaft near Wingate Pass. Astonishing is that they claimed to discover preserved mummies of a race of men 8 to 9 feet tall in several caverns they found following 20 miles north into the heart of the Pinnamin Mountains. Evidence of a lost civilization in Death Valley came in a bizarre report of caves and mummies in Hot Citizen, a Nevada paper, August 5, 1947. Some of those highlights in the article say, band of amateur archaeologists announced today they discovered a lost civilization of men 9 feet tall in California caverns. Howard E. Hill, spokesman for the expedition, said the civilization may be a fabled lost continent of Atlantis. The caves contain mummies of men and animals and implements of a culture 80,000 years old, but more advanced than ours. One cavern contained their ritual hall with devices and markings similar to the Masonic order. A long tunnel from this ritual temple hall took the party into a room where well-preserved remains of dinosaurs, saber-toothed tigers, imperial elephants, and other extinct beasts were paired off in niches as if on display. There were 32 caves covering a 180 square mile area in California's Death Valley and southern Nevada. According to Hill, some catastrophe apparently drove the people into the caves for safety. We all have reports of the Hopi Indian legends stating that a catastrophe did in fact take place, and that's why they had the Great Kiva, the underground dwellings in which they took refuge. Ancient civilizations, giants in America, tunnels beneath Southern California. The newspaper clipping from San Diego Union, trace of giants found in the desert, Los Angeles, August 4th, 1947. According to the clipping, explorers had unearthed near the Arizona-Nevada-California line a mummified remains of strangely costumed giants, which the discoverers dated to around 80,000 years ago. The Union reported that Howard Hill of Los Angeles recounted the work of Dr. Bruce Russell, a retired Cincinnati physician, who had originally located the first of several tunnels near Death Valley in 1931, but had not been able to return to the area until 1947. With the help of Dr. Daniel Bovey, who with Hill's father had once helped open up New Mexico's cliff dwellings, Russell had recovered the remains of several men, 8 to 9 feet in height. These giants are clothed in garments consisting of a medium-length jacket and trousers extending slightly below the knee. The texture of the material is said to resemble gray dyed sheepskin, but obviously it was taken from an animal unknown today. Hill also said, according to the Union article, that another cavern was found, in it a ritual hall of ancient people together with devices and markings similar to those now used in the Masonic order. In a long tunnel were well-preserved remains of animals, including elephants, tigers, and Hill added, no women have been found there. He said the explorers believed that what they found was the burial place of the tribe's hierarchy. Hieroglyphics, he added, bear a resemblance to what's known of those from the lost continent of Atlantis. They are chiseled, he added, on carefully polished granite. The text of the article, Trace of Giants Found in the Desert, Los Angeles, August 4th. A retired Ohio doctor discovered relics of ancient civilization whose men were 8 or 9 feet tall in the Colorado desert near the Arizona, Nevada, California line. And again it says that Howard Hill of Los Angeles, speaking before the Transportation Club, disclosed that several well-preserved mummies were taken yesterday from caverns in the area, roughly 180 miles square, extending through much of the southern Nevada from Death Valley, California, across the Colorado River into Arizona. Hill said that the discoverer is Dr. F. Bruce Russell, retired Cincinnati physician who stumbled on the first of several tunnels in 1931, soon after coming west and deciding to try mining for his health. And that's when the mummies were found. Not until this year, however, did Dr. Russell go into the situation thoroughly. Hill told the luncheon with Dr. Daniel S. Bovey of Los Angeles, who with his father helped open up the New Mexico's cliff dwellings. Dr. Russell found mummified remains together with implements of civilization, which Dr. Bovey had tentatively placed at about 80,000 years old. These giants are clothed in garments consisting of medium-length jacket and trousers extending slightly below the knee. The texture of the material is said to resemble gray-dyed sheepskin, but obviously it was taken from an animal unknown today. And the markings that were discovered, Hill said that in another cave was found the ritual hall of the ancient people together with devices and markings similar to those now used in the Masonic order. In a long tunnel were well-preserved remains of animals, including elephants and tigers. Women have not been found, said Hill. He said the explorers believed that what they found was the burial place of the tribe's hierarchy. Hieroglyphs, he added, bear a resemblance to what is known of those from the lost continent of Atlantis. The second article concerning same discovery of giants in caverns. Expedition reports 9-foot skeletons. Hot Citizen, Nevada paper, August 5, 1947. A band of amateur archaeologists announced today they discovered a lost citizen of men 9 feet tall in California caverns. The cave contains mummies of men and animals and implements of a culture 80,000 years old, but in some reports more advanced than ours, Hill said. And he said that the 32 caves covered 180 miles square area in California's Death Valley and southern Nevada. The archaeologists are skeptical. They say this discovery may be more important than the unveiling of King Tut's tomb in Egypt. Professional archaeologists were skeptical of Hill's story. Los Angeles County Museum scientists pointed out that dinosaurs and tigers, which Hill said lay side by side in the caves, appeared on Earth 10 million to 13 million years apart. Hill said that the caves were discovered in 1931 by Dr. F. Bruce Russell, Beverly Hills physician, who literally fell in while sinking a shaft for a mining claim. He tried for years to interest people in them, but nobody believed him. Russell and several hobbyists incorporated after the war was as Amazing Explorations Inc. and started digging. Several caverns contain mummified remains of a race of men 8 to 9 feet tall. They apparently wore a prehistoric zoot suit, a hair garment of medium length, jacket and knee-length trousers. And then there was a cavern temple found. Another cavern contained their ritual hall with devices and markings similar to the Masonic in the form of a new ancient tunnel-like quays. They realized that the valley below was once underwater, and they eventually came to the conclusion that the arched openings were ancient docks for sea vessels. They could allegedly see Furnace Creek Ranch and Wash from far below them. They told Berkeley that they had brought some of the treasure out of the caverns and tried to set up a deal with certain people, including scientists associated with the Smithsonian Institute, in order to gain help to explore the publicize the city as one of the wonders of the world. These efforts ended in disappointment when a friend of theirs stole the treasure, which was also the evidence, and they were scoffed at and rejected by the scientists when they went to show them the mine entrance and could not find it. A recent cloudburst, they claim, had altered and rearranged the entire countryside, and the landscape did not look like it had before. When Lee last heard from these two men, Bill and Jack, they were preparing to climb the east face of the pyramids to locate the ancient tunnel openings, or quays, high up the side of the steep slope. Burke Lee never did see or hear from his friend again. In 1946, a man calling himself Dr. Bruce Russell, claiming to be the retired physician, told a similar story about finding strange underground rooms in Death Valley area in 1931. He told of a large room with several tunnels leading off in different directions. One of these tunnels led to another large room that contained 3 mummies. Artifacts found in the room appeared to be a combination of Egyptian and American Indian design. The most amazing thing about the mummies, though, was the fact that they were more than 8 feet tall. Dr. Russell and a group of investors formed Amazing Explorations Inc. to handle the release and profit from this remarkable find. But as stories of this type usually go, Russell disappeared and the investigators were never able to find the caverns and tunnels again, even though Russell had personally taken them there. The desert can be very deceiving to anyone not used to traveling it. Months later, Russell's car was found abandoned with a burst radiator in a remote area of Death Valley. His suitcase was still in the car. The old TV series Death Valley Days once ran a short story about Western pioneers also finding mummies in the desert. Since one of the script writers stated that there had never been a script without a solid basis in fact, it would be interesting to find out what their source had been. For now, these stories will have to be shrouded in mystery along with the 21,000-year-old bones found in California's Imperial Valley, also rumored to have been spirited off by the Smithsonian. The source is Shadowland's Underworld, and I'll leave a link below for you for this. Order. A long tunnel from this temple took the party into a room. Well-preserved remains of dinosaurs, saber-toothed tigers, imperial elephants, and other extinct beasts were paired off in the niches as if on display. Some catastrophe apparently drove the people into the caves, he said. All of the implements of their civilization were found, including household utensils and stoves, which apparently cooked by radio waves. I know, he said, that you won't believe that. The articles concerning the same cave discovery by different men 10 to 15 years earlier. Ancient Civilization Beneath Death Valley. Author unknown. Burke Lee, in his book Death Valley Men, Macmillan and Company, New York, 1932, chapter entitled Old Gold, describes a conversation which he had several years ago with a small group of Death Valley residents. Conversation eventually turned to the subject of the Paiute Indian legends. At one point, 2 of the men, Jack and Bill, described their experience with an underground city which they claimed to have discovered after one of them fell in through the bottom of an old mine shaft near Wingate Pass. They found themselves in a natural underground cave, a cavern which they claimed to have followed about 20 miles north into the heart of the Pinnament Mountains, and to their amazement, they allegedly found themselves in a huge ancient underground cavern city. They claimed that they discovered within the city several perfectly preserved mummies, which wore thick armbands, wielded gold spears. The city had apparently been abandoned for ages except for the mummies, and the entire underground system looked very ancient. It was formerly lit, they found out by accident, by an ingenious system of lights fed by subterranean gases. They claimed to have seen a large polished round table which looked as if it may have been part of an ancient council chamber, giant statues of solid gold, stone vaults and drawers full of gold bars and gemstones of all kinds, heavy stone wheelbarrows which were perfectly balanced and scientifically constructed so that a child could use them, huge stone doors which were almost perfectly balanced to counterweights and other incredible sights. They also claimed they found a cavern upwards to a higher level which ultimately opened up to the face of the Pennines Mountains about halfway up the eastern slope